At breakfast this morning, somebody brought in a sign that they had seen at a ham convention in which they were selling some equipment for this price. So the question was, what were they talking about? How much was that price? Well, we can go ahead and look at that expression and solve it in two ways. Way number one is going to actually be looking at the expansion in a power series of sine of 1 over x. Of course, that gives us the following. We look at the argument here, and we end up with the argument plus the argument to the third power over 3 factorial plus the argument to the fifth power over 5 factorial plus dot, dot, dot. And what we do here is we keep the first term, and that would be this right here. So that gives us x times 1 over x, which of course is 1. So the price then becomes $1. Now we can also look at this, that's that one. We can also look at this in a second way. And that would be way number 2, and that is using L'Hopital's rule. And if you remember, L'Hopital's rule gives us that the limit of x going to infinity of a particular expression is the derivative of the numerator and the derivative of the denominator. We don't have that here, but in a way we do. We can rewrite our expression in this way. This now becomes 1 over 1 over x, which is a funny way to write it, but it works for our purposes. Then using L'Hopital's rule, this becomes, of course, cosine of this argument using the chain rule times the derivative of the argument itself, which is minus 1 over x squared, divided by the derivative of the denominator, which again is minus 1 over x squared. So right here what we can do is we can see that the negative signs combine to give us a positive. That fellow cancels with that one. And what we're left with is the following. We have the cosine of 1 over x. And we want to take the limit of that as x goes to infinity. And of course, what we do that when x becomes a very large number, this x over here, or actually this argument, goes to 0 because it's 1 over infinity essentially. So that becomes 0, which makes this entire term, the cosine of 0, go to 1. So that expression then is telling us that the fellow was selling this equipment for $1. So this is an interesting way of actually finding the result using L'Hopital's rule. And again, the first one was using the expansion of the sign, the definition of the sine of 1 over x, and the other one is using L'Hopital's rule to give us the same amount, which is $1, which is what the price of the object was. I thought that was interesting.